I was talking to her about how I don't think in my wildest dreams I would have ever been in the wedding industry. But then I started realizing that I was actually giving people who had incredible passions the ability to start their career in the wedding industry. Oh, it is. I mean, I've heard people throw out ideas constantly. You know, what if we could go to the moon? It's like, we'll go there, like start. Because along that journey, you're probably going to stumble and fall and find something incredible for yourself along the way because you at least moved forward and, saw what was out there. My personal opinion is that if you ever want to become more than that current level, you need to stay in that driver's seat.
I can relate to a lot of that personally because I'm a beatboxer and public speaker. And then COVID happened and all of the live events stopped. And everything was just like, okay, now I'm delivering pizzas instead of doing what I love.
Yeah, you say resilience. I think that is a great word. I typically say persistence. Courage is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to push through it, even when faced with fear.
Hey, welcome to UPBEAT. I'm your host, Parker Kane, and we've got an amazing guest today, Daniel Krikorian. Did I say your last name right, by the way?
Said it perfect. Yeah, that was gold.
Okay.
Thank you.
Perfect. And I was actually scrambling looking for the spelling of that, but I couldn't see it. So that was sheer memory right there.
Love it. No, that's perfect.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I'm excited to have you on the show. And just so you're aware, we do have listeners who are in the wedding industry and do photography and video. And I'm sure they're going to absolutely love this episode.
Yeah, I work with, we had 146 contractors underneath us. We're looking to grow throughout the nation. So I've been there. I've done photo, video, DJ. So I've been through it all, and it's been a ride.
Awesome. Yeah, so many lessons to unpack, and then maybe even opportunities. I don't know if you mentioned you're expanding. So is there ways for them to like apply to work with you, or how does that work?
Soon enough, yeah. We'll talk about it a little bit, but we're launching a new app very soon, and there will absolutely be opportunities. Anyone who wants to reach out, you're always welcome to. And if you're interested in helping this expansion, we're looking for people. If you're interested in being, a vendor with us, then go ahead and contact us too. So love to hear that.
Cool. And we'll make sure links are in the description and everything for that. But jumping into more of your story, I guess, and how that even started, I'm sure there's so much that goes into it, but I guess initially, because on this show we talk a lot about passion and purpose and those kinds of things. So with you, what kind of led you to wanting to do something like this?
I was actually talking to my girlfriend about this last night, because I'll start with something kind of really bad and then bring it to what's good. I was talking to her about how I don't think in my wildest dreams I would have ever been in the wedding industry, in that I never cared for it. And, I understand that most individuals who get into it, they get into it as a hobby. They love it from, their experience at their wedding, and they want to help other people, other couples go through it. And that wasn't mine. And I think, on the surface, it sounds really, really bad, because I think that people automatically assume that there's less passion there, but there's not. And so my comments to my girlfriend last night was, I have visualized this for so long. I have seen and understood the mission that I put myself on, and I really am not going to stop at anything to make that happen, because I want to create a better experience for people. And I've seen, I had a really unique upbringing, and it's contributed to this. And the experience that people are having, that couples are having, it's not right. It doesn't work for me. So anyways, I'll get into the story, and we can kind of get back to that. But before COVID, and when I came out of college, I got into video production, had a background in marketing, psychology, and economics, which is really kind of odd. Went into video production because I just love the storytelling aspect and being able to use it to really, to get a message across, kind of have that surface level and then a deeper message. And me and my business partner, we started a company to go ahead and do production. And, we were kind of driving all over the place and, starting to really take off. Spent a lot of money that we didn't have to get into it. And
I get that.
Yeah. And finally started paying it all back. Finally started to get traction, get customers. And that was a long time in the making. And COVID cut the legs right out from underneath us. So that was a really, rough time for the both of us trying to understand, what do we do? And lo and behold, I left us up on a website under weddings and events to find us because a lot of small businesses were searching for an event photographer, or even companies were searching for an event photographer, videographer for their big event. And so we would go in there, we'd say, hey, we also do, commercials, we do social media content, like hire us for more.
Promotional stuff, yeah.
Exactly. So that's how we kind of got our foot in the door. And so I'm sitting on my hands during COVID, and James, my partner at the time, he was actually he was in the National Guard. He was going out and doing some, I forget what they were doing, but they were doing like these missions during COVID, which was kind of nuts. And so I was there. I took a wedding. Someone emailed me and they're like, can you do a wedding? And I said, yeah, sure. Like a wedding's a wedding. So I studied up on it. I figured out how to do it and take some photos. And this bride says to me, these are the most beautiful photos I've ever seen. She gives me a 5-star, gives me a massive tip. And on that same website, all of a sudden 4 more come in. And I remember calling James and I'm like, I don't know what's happening here. And so people are like, can you do video? I was like, yep. So long story short, first year we do 146 photo and video jobs. Yeah. And what I had found really quickly on was that all of these wedding photographers and videographers decided that they could get a better paycheck from the government than they could from selling 1 to 2 hour jobs. But I didn't have that same knowledge, nor did I have any ability to make that from the government. So I went out and I offered 1 2-hour elopement packages for these people who were trying to get married outside during COVID. And so we do the 146. We, hire 2 of our buddies to come on, and, we bought the equipment because they didn't have it. And we started kind of building this treasure chest and this reputation, and just 5-star after 5-star after 5-star. And the season's winding down and bookings are going crazy. And I looked at James and I said, I don't understand this. And James was like, what do you mean? I said, why in the hell are people hiring us? And he's like, he just didn't understand my thought process. But as far as I could tell, we were brand new at this. Why did people want to work with us? Why were we? That to me set off an alarm in my head that something's wrong with this industry.
Well, because business stuff, and you can probably tell that we didn't know the answer yet, but you're probably filling some kind of gap or solving some kind of problem that you're probably about to tell us. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. That was exactly it. I felt that there was a market gap. I just didn't know what it was. Yeah. And so I actually went onto all of these wedding and event sites, and I'm reading through, and it basically came down to this. You had incredible creatives, whether it be photography, videography, DJ, coordination, makeup, you name it. But they never went to school for business. They never went to school for marketing, for customer service, for sales. They did not have the structure to provide consistent work. So you would get these great, terrible, great, terrible. And for a bride and a groom, that felt really unfortunate that in such an important day of your life, such an expensive day of your life, that you were getting an unknown variable in your service. That really didn't make sense to me. I did not like that. So I said to James, I think we're onto something here because we bring a corporate structure into this place, into this industry where it needs it desperately. And I think there was a lot of uncertainty from both sides at that time. So we were actually solving for 2 problems. The vendor had no security. They didn't know where the next meal was coming from, and they were having a hard time selling themselves. And then on the other side, we had the couple who didn't know who to pick, why to pick them, or what's going on in the industry as well. And, then it just took off. 446 weddings the next year. 876 the third year.
Dang.
Yeah, 4th year we do 1,200. And then we hit a roadblock, and it's been a problem that I've been trying to fix for some time now, and we finally have the ability to move forward with it. But we were buying all of the equipment. We were, maintaining it. We were providing it to our team. Our team members were going out. They were taking on the jobs. Some of them weren't fulfilling the same amount of energy and care as others. And their 1-star review was now being reflected of the same people who worked their butt off to get a 5-star. And so, there were a lot of problems that we we felt as we hit this ceiling. And so we had to take a really strong look at what we were trying to actually accomplish. And Be Remembered again set out to create a platform where vendors and couples could connect. Couples could bundle their services all under one roof. They could have that corporate structure, and they could do all of this seamlessly. We were doing what my old business partner said, or claim is hand jamming. We had a lot of manual processes. And after 1,200 weddings, even after 800 weddings, mistakes can happen, and you don't want that. But what we were really designed to be was Uber. Our goal was to create an Uber for wedding services, but really incorporate these incredible business pieces that have been taking on from the gig economy. That is the Ubers, right? The DoorDashes, all of this technology that's in our fingertips that we actually demand of every other service, and put it into the wedding and events industry. So that way, we can have that same comfort. We can have that same great experience that Uber, Lyft, all of these companies, DoorDash, give us, while giving couples the ability to have a good price, vendors having the ability to have all of these business tools at their fingertips. And that's what we're working on right now. So it's very exciting.
Love it.
It's going great. Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. It takes, from the couple's perspective, I mean, that's, regardless, it's kind of a stressful day, but it takes a lot of the planning off of their shoulders of what it could be. It could be really heavy. I want to kind of track back to something you said about COVID. I can relate to a lot of that personally because I'm a beatboxer and public speaker. And I got kind of bigger right before COVID. And then COVID happened and all of the live events stopped. And everything was just like, okay, now I'm delivering pizzas instead of doing what I love, because it was so hard to carry through that. And then you mentioned the roadblocks that you came up against, which timeline-wise, you said that was 2023?
So we started feeling it in 2023, early 2023, 2020, end of 2022. It really became apparent in our 2024 season where we started saying, okay, we have to make changes here. And we had no choice. I mean, we've always kept margins low because we're a quantity model. That was the whole idea, was be able to provide incredible services to couples at an affordable price. And we could only do that when our margins were low, but we also need to make something here to, pay to keep the lights on. We got squeezed. So that was really difficult, especially because it was a feast and then it was a famine. There was a massive bubble after in 2021 and even 2022, and then just this cliff hit. It was really fascinating to see.
Yeah, and see, I kind of want to zero in on those things because I think it hits those who are listening, kind of in their core, what they're going through, some of the hard times. And this podcast, we bring personal development and business and branding together. And so a word coming to mind is resiliency. In those times, you have to be resilient, creative, come up with different solutions from a business side of it. But what kind of toll was that having on you personally and in your relationships or with your co-owner or co-founders, and ultimately what did you do to get out of it? Was it just realigning with your why?
Yeah, you say resilience. I think that is a great word. I typically say persistence. I think the idea is that the ones who make it through don't feel it. And I once heard that courage is not the absence of fear. It's the ability to push through it even when faced with fear, right? So, I'm still learning how to do that every day. And I expect, everyone else is too. That being said, we were very relevant conversation. I was having this last night. Running a business is isolating. Don't think anything else. It is very isolating. You have to make decisions. Typically, when you start a business, you're going to bring on friends and family because you think that they're going to align with you, believe in you, and for the most part, they do. That doesn't happen for very long. And as you grow, especially quickly, everyone is going to have something to say, whether it be friends, family, or there's a lot of people that are going to try to get their hands on your business, which is really interesting that I didn't expect. A lot of people saying it's in your best interest. I've done this before, but make sure to cut me a check. love them or hate them, there's a lot of investors, there's a lot of people who are going to tell you to get out of the driver's seat and let someone experienced take it. My personal opinion is that if you ever want to become more than that current level, you need to stay in that driver's seat. And sometimes it's going to hurt. Sometimes, you're not going to be equipped for it. But I had a lot of people tell me to let the Harvard, business professional sit in the driver's seat. And I just don't believe in that, because how the hell am I going to grow if I don't, sit here and endure the pain? It's going back to, why did you build this? Why do you do all of this? Why do you get up in the morning to get after it? And if you can't answer those, you should probably get out, because I think that's the time. And that was my conversation with my girlfriend last night. It was, these whys are still here, and they're very deep down. Otherwise, because she's absolutely brilliant. She's a brilliant individual, and she's a very conservative individual. She's been in finance. She doesn't like the risks like this, and she has vision, but it's just in a different format. And so when I say I see it, she's like, why the hell would you do this to yourself?
Yeah, she sees like the riskiness and the more practical, like, oh no, that's scary.
Correct.
But you've got the dream.
Yeah, 100%. And I knew that. And I try to balance that, because I don't think being a dreamer is that great, which is such a terrible thing to say, but don't be a dreamer, be a doer. There's so many people that's a tacky statement, but but no, it is. I mean, I've heard people throw out ideas constantly. Oh, what if we could go to the moon? It's like, well, go there, like don't start, because along that journey, you're probably going to stumble and fall and find something incredible for yourself along the way, because you at least moved forward and, saw what was out there, versus the people who are just like, oh, I just want to look up. I want to look up. What if? It's like, don't do that to yourself. Go after it. So yeah, we were having an interesting conversation, and the why just burns inside me. So I have to keep going.
Well, just to be clear, like, what is the why then? And how does that translate into like the academy and just other big plans you have?
This is such a bold, ridiculous statement, but the why, the why for me is because I truly believe that it needs to be corrected. I believe that the wedding industry and that the couples and the vendors just deserve a better experience. And I also believe that there is technology out there that's already done this in other industries, and it needs to be applied properly. I just believe there's so many opportunities. So the academy, for one, we started it. It was so funny. I'll be totally honest, and people can hate me for saying this, but when I started Be Remembered, I bought all of the equipment so I could charge the customer less, but also pay out less, because I own the equipment. But then I started realizing that I was actually giving people who had incredible passions the ability to start their career in the wedding industry. Because the start into the wedding industry is, you buy a bunch of gear. You have no clue what the right gear is. You spend a fortune. You're basically making people pay nothing, or you're telling people that they can, use you for free for the longest time to build up your portfolio. And it's just a really long and crappy road in that most people, don't get through. And so I thought to myself, okay, I know the exact equipment you should have. I can buy it. Let me buy it. You can use it. I'll train you on it. I'll get you to a position that you need to be, and let's go. So what we've come up with now is, the new site, we're pushing it out, and the vendor has this entire workspace. They can rent gear. So that's the way we're doing it, affordable rentals for months. So you can go ahead and rent a whole kit from us for a month. You can make a lot of money just using that kit. You can go ahead and return it after the season, or you can buy it through us, and we're hoping to become a wholesaler so that we can really drive down prices. But then the second piece of the site that's, in a not too distant future, is to allow for online education for photo, video, DJ, coordination, other services as well, and really make it so too. This is my big thing, is like, I want people to have background checks. I want people to have certifications. I want one generic certification for photo, for any wedding service. Because again, you can go on Wedding Wire or not to give them any type of publicity, but you just don't know who you're actually getting. You don't know where those reviews came from. You don't know, who they are, what their education, what their background was. Like, you are still going off of reviews. We care so much that you have to go through our education program. You have to be certified. You've been tested, and that's where the academy portion come in. Do I think it's a financial lever for us at some point? Yeah, I do. But I don't even mind giving it away for free in the beginning, simply to show customers that, like, not only can you look at reviews, but we do have a bar that we're putting in place for you, and we want them to be above that bar.
Brilliant. I think that's a great idea. And to tie back to some of the previous things you mentioned about Uber and like some of those other businesses that have been put in place, it's kind of like that guaranteed premium driver who's been through this many trips and has gotten this many things, they've got that credibility rather than just being someone random who you can't necessarily trust. And geez, I bet too, like with COVID and everything, like that would have been so hard in that moment for you guys to find people that were like going to show up or going to, do the job right. Well, hey man, I appreciate you being on the show. I've got like one kind of final two-parter question for you if you're game.
Lay it on.
What I'm thinking is, for someone maybe a couple of years back in your shoes, someone who's got their thing that they're going to try to do, they're going to try to build a company or build their personal brand, what, I guess, final parting words or advice would you have for them? And the second part is, what do you want people to remember most about Be Remembered? And like what helps or what they help with?
The right people are everything. And when they're not the right people, you need to let them go immediately. And you need to put around you incredible people that make you better and hold you accountable. So I was very timid about that, because I understood, again, I love my people, and I understood how much, the job meant to them, because it wasn't just a job to them. It was passion a lot of times. It's really good to care for everyone, but if you don't care for the people working the hardest, I think you do everyone a disservice. So.
Right. Yeah. And that's something that could hold you back the longest.
Yeah. Well, I guess what they should know is that the overall goal of Be Remembered is to create a better wedding and event experience. And it really needs to be that broad, because it was never meant to be in New England. It was never meant to be photo and video. It was never meant to be, 1,200 weddings. It was never meant to be any of that. And we've made mistakes, and people, whether it be vendors or couples, I feel like they were small-minded in thinking that it's just supposed to be this. And so you made a mistake, so just stop. I'll never forget this too. This is another great piece of advice that I've learned over the years. Is I had a DJ who came in and he said to me, "You got a 1-star review. Jesus, if you don't get rid of that, you're ruined." No. Listen, just keep going. If you have that North Star, if you have that true north, that something, which is, to be a platform where vendors and couples can connect, and couples can have a great experience, and vendors can even have a great experience. Like, that is our North Star. And we want to do that throughout the world.
Kind of a closing thing here we do on Upbeat. We'll see how Riverside holds up to this, but I'm a beatboxer, as I said, so I was going to do a quick beatbox outro with your name in it.
Oh.
First name, because I don't know if I could do it.
Honestly, you pronounce it better than anyone today. I got 2 phone calls, and they're like, Krikorian. I was like, we're good. How you doing? What's the matter?
Okay, maybe I'll try it. We'll see.
No, you got it.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Daniel Krikorian.
That was so cool.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Hands down, the best outro I've ever heard. Thank you so much for that.
Absolutely. Hey, and if, a bride and groom ever want a beatboxer, then
Yeah.
Hit me up.
Can we like put a special spot on the space for that?
Sounds good. Hey, thanks for the great conversation, man. Have a good one.
Thank you, Parker. Take care.